For the start of our Science Friday series, I wanted to talk about my own science journey. Basically, like how I got into science, as a kid, and then where I am now. It's not super like crazy or anything. And it's not like I'm also in like amazing, like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to share my secrets with you and like this is how you get to the tippity top of science. And no. It's more just like I did all of these things and then here I am now. You might have a similar path or you might not have anything close to a similar path, and science is still something you can accomplish. You can do it. And so this page will simply have a bunch of doodles that show off how I got to where I am. And Nico is me. That's me, guys. I'm Nico, the little bacteria. Let's start when I was a child. A wee small bacterium. I didn't even have glasses back then. This is a child Nico. No thoughts. There were basically no thoughts in here. I didn't really have much interest. The one thing I wanted to do was I wanna play Pokemon. I would read like 10 books a week, finish all my homework. I didn't really understand anything was the big problem. I would do the work because I kind of I looked at everything in school kind of like a puzzle. They told me to do these things and I said, okay, I do this. So I would do the things, but I didn't really get the concepts. And this became a huge problem. I did not understand a single math. So in middle school, I think things were relatively the same, but I was trying to be a more studious microbe. I have glasses now. But the problem was the school that I was in was broke. Like, money was nowhere to be found here. No biology, no what else? Physics? I have to put things into my own hands. And so I took AP Bio, and if you're not an American and you don't know what AP classes are, it's just like college level courses. But I took AP Bio by myself. I realized, like, if I want to learn something, I'm gonna have to do it myself at this point. And so I self-studied this. I cracked open a book, and then I pass. I want to be a scientist. And then I would quickly learn, like, there are so many majors. I was like, there's like, what do I want to major in? I was like, I kind of like everything about science. And I mean, but then I took AP Bio, so I was like, maybe I really like life sciences? Or do I like, do I? And then it's not even as simple as like, there's biology, then there was like biomed, and then there was biochem. It was still again up to me to Google these things. And my first thought, I was thinking about which major to have, was I was first thinking of biochem engineering, because this is a very stupid reason why I want to do this. A guy on YouTube said, I study this. And then I was like, oh, I like that YouTuber. Maybe I should study this too. That was a very stupid reason. But then I realized, wait a second, this is math. Nope. So in university, I was a little microbe in a big pond. I was surprised by just how smart other people are and how not smart I was. I felt like I had no brain. But in my first Bio 101 class, I sat at a table with other people, and they all were like, review. This is all review from from high school. I remember all this from high school, and I said, uh-oh. So my first year was really rough. I felt so dead, and I felt like I was in the wrong place. I had to catch up on so many things. The first year was very, very challenging for me. And it didn't get better. In the second year, I thought, oh my gosh, I absolutely losing it. But this was the first time I felt like I'm not alone, because everyone in my class hated what was going on, and they were struggling. It was a lot of people struggling. My third year, this is when I was starting to I'm finally feeling comfortable at university. It took 3 years or so, but I finally felt like, okay, I think I'm not an outsider. Like, I belong here. The imposter syndrome was getting its ass kicked. In between the second and third year, I started doing research. Clueless that there were so many people that start doing research in their first year. And so I was happy to finally be able to find an opportunity to do this, and I had an amazing mentor. She was the most lovely woman ever. She really guided me, and she was very kind to me and understood my situation of how I grew up not with much of a science background. I looked at E. coli, and we wanted to extract a specific protein from the outer membrane layer. My little third-year brain was getting blown away. I was like, whoa, I'm doing a real science. Wow, I'm extracting stuff from a bacteria, and wow. I was like, science, it's real. By the time my fourth year came, I figured I need to do something. I'm about to graduate. Hello. And I knew I did not have time for a grad school application because I had exactly one letter of rec. I was like, what do I do, guys? What do I do? What I learned was I can do something called a post-bac. A post-bac is a program where it's just in between undergrad and grad school, and it gives you the opportunity to really build up your resume or your credentials. So now we're in my post-bac era. I was in a research lab for about a year. I was working with the model animal that I've come to work, I've done so much research with now, and that's the little mouse. We were studying little mice, and we were looking at their lungs, and we wanted to look at what fungi were in their lungs. And it was a very hard experience, and I had to learn how to hold these guys. Don't hold them like this. It was so scary to do this for the first time. So I would have to learn how to hold mice. I think a lot of my time spent was learning how to hold mice because I was so scared of figuring out, oh my gosh, is it okay to, is it okay? Am I okay? And then when I became more comfortable, it became a matter of, oh my gosh, I have to kill the mice. I have to get the lungs out of the mice. And so eventually, of course, as we do in science, the lungs were extracted. So that was a lot of my post-bac experience. And during this time, I was I learned I need to talk more to my professors and people in my community. So I started yap. Similar to what I'm doing now, I would just yap to everyone. Yap. I'll have all these people know who I am. My one letter of rec went all the way to 4. All of this culminated into grad school. Yippee! And I'm not gonna lie, this might have been maybe the worst experience I've ever gone through in my life. And so I didn't really have any friends in my cohort. All the professors that I interviewed with, because when you go to a grad school and you do your interview process there, you talk to these professors that are there doing their research, because one of the big parts of going to grad school for science is you want to find a professor that's doing a research topic that you thoroughly will enjoy, or at least are vaguely interested in. All these professors that I interviewed with that talked about things that I liked, they lied to me. They were not accepting students. So rotation started, and rotations are like when you go to a professor's lab for about like a few weeks or so and check out how they're doing. Like, do you like the project? Are you like clicking with their lab? Are you clicking with the PI? Or do you like would you be okay to be here for many years and through ups and downs? And so I had many rotations, more than you should have, which was also a bad sign. So rotation number 1, he had 0 students, 0 managers, 0 lab techs. It was just me. 1. I don't know what to do. A first-year rotation student to like be self-sufficient. He didn't even give me direction. He just said, we're studying this, you can try doing some things like related to that. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to be working with this guy. Now we have rotation number 2. And he was a very kind person. Great lab. I really liked his lab. Hated the project. Did not like this project at all. His project was based on tuberculosis. And it was the most insane waiting game. Weeks of culturing. And it wasn't very interesting to me at all. I didn't care about tuberculosis, I have to say. Sorry to the tuberculosis fans out there. And then my third one. This was maybe the most tragic thing. Great everything. He was a very kind man. Very supportive, very knowledgeable. He was very smart and funny. I can tell that he really loved science because he loved talking about it. And when I talked to him just for a bit, he was just like smiled so brightly about talking about anything science related, and especially his own project. And I was like, oh, what a lovely man. And then you can tell that his lab mate, like the people he chose to be in his lab, were also equally like reflective of that mentality of I love science and science is amazing. And the project was really interesting. It was virus related. I had never worked with viruses before, and so I learned a lot of techniques that were like new to me. And then the saddest thing happened. At the end of the rotation, I talked about, I would love to join your lab, sir. And they said, sorry, we don't have money for a new student. Oh my gosh, if I have to go back to 1 or 2 again, I will end it all. I can't do this anymore. I had to go and beg the dean, please give me another chance. And the dean's like, LOL, okay. And so my choices were very slim. This was the worst rotation I had ever been in. Mind you, my mental was at an all-time low, because can you imagine how your confidence feels after like going through all of this? You just feels like nothing is right. And now I have to do this 4th rotation so I can get a chance to stay in this my PhD program. The crazy thing is, I can't even tell you what his project or his lab is about anymore. That's like, I feel like I've like blocked everything out about this rotation completely. Was sit at my bench, read papers about what the science is. They did not like that. They said, do something. Like, I wanted to understand like what their research was about. And a lot of their lab mates, they would just like go like, all you do is sit there and read the papers. You should just do something. Do anything. Just do something. Stop sitting there and reading the papers and do something. And I like really distinctly remember those words because I was like, okay, I'll do something. I'm sorry. I literally started crying like in front of them because I didn't know what to say. In my mental haze, as you can imagine, someone who is getting yelled at and is at a low point, I accidentally did something very bad. I was told, can you like sacrifice some mice because we have too many mice in the mouse room? Took somebody's mouse cage that I didn't realize was part of someone else's project, and I killed their mice that was very important for their project, and I simply just killed their whole cage of like my mice. And yeah, and I started crying really hard in the middle of the lab after I like realized my mistake and how they yelled at me, and I just said, I'm gonna end it. I screamed that to them. Yeah, the school said, okay, sweetie, you need to get out of here for a bit. So I left school for about 1 year. My mental health break arc. I had to think about, what does science mean to me? It's like, did I want to be a scientist? Does being a scientist mean going through this? Does being a scientist mean like having to beg to be part of science? Does it mean having to be told you're stupid and useless and terrible and don't are worthless if you're not producing research? Do I like science? I was starting to think maybe I don't even like science, because science has only brought me like me saying I'm gonna end it at this point. And then if I don't like science, what do I even do? I did all of this just to say I don't like science and I don't want to do anything science related. And I was like, that can't be right. Oh, I did this because I do like science. I do. And so during that 1 year, I did all that thinking, and I just I had a choice whether it came to, do I want to continue on this PhD journey or not? And I was just feeling a bit sad that maybe like a PhD isn't for me, and does that mean something's wrong with me? Am I not a good enough scientist if a PhD isn't good enough? Like, it's not for me if I can't get it. 1 year later, we enter rotation number 5. Dean specifically says we don't really do this, and I'm like, well, you better like make room for me because I'm doing this and I need a rotation. In this 5th rotation, which also ended up being my thesis lab, not that there was much choice. My school basically said you have to choose this or else we're going to have to kick you out. So things were going okay. I liked the lab. I liked the project. The project was working with mice again, and I was like, oh, I've worked with mice before. We were collecting their fat tissue and then looking at what's inside the fat tissue. 2 years or so, I was like going, yeah, this is fine, because I was able to successfully defend like what my thesis project is going to be about. And so I was able to get my my master's, and I successfully defended for the master's, and I was feeling on the up and up. But I knew that a PhD still felt like it was very far from here. I had so much to do still. There are still many years of research. Years and years. My love for mouse work is starting to go down because I realize these projects are taking a huge toll on like me. And so these would be like 10-hour experiment days, and it would just end up getting longer and longer. And so I just was surrounded by mice. It felt like I was going mouse crazy. I was like squeak, 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 squeaky, squeak, squeak. What ended up happening is, with all this, I said, yeah, I hate this. But what was nice was I knew that this wasn't a me problem. Not a me problem. No, this is not what I want to do. I don't want to be on my feet for like 10 hours a day, like getting mice together, smelling like mice urine, all that for 10 hours every day. It was just not for me. So this is when I decided, okay, I need to leave. I put so much pressure on, like, I need to get a PhD or else I'm not going to be able to do anything in science. Like, because at this point I was like, I do really like science. I just don't think I really like this this experimental aspect. It's not very fun to me whatsoever. And I told my PI, I'm packing up. I'm out of here. Goodbye. My dreams of getting a PhD were not happening. I had at least my master's. But before I left grad school, I did a lot of job searching. If you're gonna drop out, if you feel like that's the path you need to do, you should do that. But make sure you have a job or resources before you do any of that. And this is where I am now. The science writer arc. Yay! And this was a mix of everything that I knew I loved during my journey. I get to read papers every single day. I go, oh, that's what that research is about. And so I write it down, and then it goes to people. It goes to people in a hospital, and they use what I wrote to treat their patient. And I couldn't ask for a better job. What do I want to do next? Well, I like being a VTuber. And so I hope in the future I can do more scientific communication work through my VTubing.